Imagine for a second that everything you were ever told about money was actually a trap. Most people think they understand debt. They think they know what is responsible and what is reckless. But here is the scary part. Millions of people who follow the rules are quietly getting poorer every single day. They are doing exactly what their parents told them to do. They are doing exactly what the experts say. And yet, they are stuck. Welcome to Siraz Patwari. I am so glad you are here today. If you want to finally break the cycle and master your wealth, hit that subscribe button right now. We are going to dive deep into a single number today. This one number is the difference between a life of struggle and a life of total freedom. It is a number most people have never even calculated for a single one of their loans. By the time we finish this, you will know exactly how to run this number on your mortgage. You will know how to run it on your car loan and your credit cards. You will know, in actual dollars, which debts are building your future. And more importantly, you will know which ones are draining your soul. Let's get one thing straight right from the start. A credit card balance and a 30-year mortgage are actually the same thing. Does that sound crazy? Most people would say they are opposites. They say a mortgage is good debt and a credit card is bad debt. They tell you to just sort your loans into those two buckets and you will be fine. That advice is not just too simple, it is dangerous. Whether a debt makes you rich or poor has almost nothing to do with what you bought with the money. It does not matter if your parents would approve of the purchase. It does not matter if the purchase felt responsible at the time. Those are just labels people stick on the outside of the box. Inside the box, the machine is identical. Debt has exactly one definition. Someone gives you money now. You agree to give it back later, plus a fee. That fee is your interest rate. That is the only thing the machine cares about. Think about the way the standard advice works. It takes that machine and drops it into a bin. The good debt bin has mortgages and student loans. These are things that buy assets. The bad debt bin has credit cards and payday loans. These are things that buy a good time or things that lose value. This is the most repeated idea in personal finance, and it is wrong often enough to be a disaster. Why is it wrong? Because it looks at the item you bought. It ignores the math that determines your wealth. Here is the golden rule that changes everything. A debt makes you richer or poorer based on one single comparison. You have to look at the interest rate on your debt versus the return you could earn on that same money somewhere else. That is the whole game. It is not about the car. It is not about the house. It is the rate against the alternative. Look at it from the perspective of the bank. When you carry a debt, you are guaranteeing yourself a loss at that rate. If you have a credit card balance at 20%, you are losing 20% every single year. It is a guaranteed drain. So you have to ask yourself the only question that matters. Could that same money have earned more than 20% somewhere else? The answer is almost always no. So that debt is eating you alive. But now, flip the script. Imagine you have a fixed mortgage at 3%. Meanwhile, your investment account is earning 8% or 10% in the market. In that case, that debt is actually making you richer. You are borrowing cheap money and earning more with it. It is the same instrument, but a totally opposite outcome. The only thing that changed was the number. Let me tell you about a guy named Jake. Jake is what most people would call responsible. He has never missed a payment in his life. He keeps a strict budget. He pays his bills the very second they arrive in his mailbox. Jake truly believes he is good with money. But Jake also carries about $8,000 on his credit card every month. He thinks of it as just a normal part of adult life. It is like a phone bill or a utility. He pays a couple $100s toward it every month. The balance goes down slowly. He feels fine. But Jake has never done the math. His card charges him 21.5% interest. That is the average rate most people are actually paying. On an $8,000 balance, that is over $1,700 a year in interest alone. Jake isn't paying down his debt. He is just renting the money. Every single month, $143 leaves his account and accomplishes nothing. It disappears before it even touches the money he actually owes. Because Jake only pays $200 a month, the debt is very patient. At that pace, It will take him nearly 6 years to clear that $8,000. Along the way, he will hand the bank over $6,000 in interest. He will pay $14,000 total to get rid of an $8,000 debt. Jake is basically making a permanent donation to his bank, and because it doesn't feel like a crisis, he never stops to fix it. Now, compare Jake to Brian. Brian has a 30-year fixed mortgage at 6.5%. If you follow the old good debt rule, Brian is doing great because a mortgage is good debt. But that is not what makes Brian wealthy. It is what Brian refuses to do. Brian will not carry a balance on anything that costs more than his mortgage. He has no credit card debt. He has no financed furniture. He has no buy now, pay later plans. When Brian has extra money at the end of the month, he doesn't let it sit in a checking account. He doesn't feed a credit card. He puts that money to work. Let's say Brian invests $500 every month. That is the same amount of money Jake is losing to his cards. Brian puts it in the stock market and earns a 10% return. In 10 years, that $500 a month grows to over $100,000. In 20 years, it is $380,000. In 30 years, Brian is looking at over $1.1 million. Now, let's be real for a second. That $1.1 million is the number before inflation. In today's real buying power, it is closer to $610,000. But think about that. That wealth came from just $500 a month. It came from nothing more than refusing to stand on the wrong side of the line. Look at what actually divides these two men. It isn't their income. It isn't even their discipline. Jake is very disciplined. He pays everything on time. Both men have debt. The only difference is which side of the line they are standing on. Jake's money is working against him at 21.5%. Brian's money is working for him at 10%. They have the same paycheck. They use the same financial tools. But their money is pointed in opposite directions. So, where exactly is this line? This is the number that nobody calculates, but it is worth getting exactly right. The line is the point where your debt's interest rate crosses the return you could earn on your money elsewhere. If your debt is below the line, it is cheaper than what your money can earn. You keep the debt and you invest the money. If your debt is above the line, it costs more than your money can earn. You must kill that debt first. Every single decision in your financial life is just about locating this crossover point. You need a number for what your money can earn. There are two versions of this. The safe version is about 4%. That is what you get in a high-yield savings account or treasury bills with zero risk. The ambitious version is about 10%. That is the long-term return of the stock market, though it isn't guaranteed. When you put those together, a practical line appears. Anything above 8% almost certainly costs more than you can earn. You should attack that debt with everything you have. Anything below 6%, especially if the rate is fixed, usually means you are better off keeping the debt and investing the difference. Between 6% and 8% is a gray zone. That depends on your taxes and how much risk you can handle. There is one detail that makes this line even sharper. Paying off debt is not just a return. It is a guaranteed tax-free return. Think about it. When you invest and earn 10%, the government takes a cut of your gains. But when you erase a 20% debt, you keep the entire 20%. No taxes touch that money. You aren't earning income, you are removing an expense. This is why high-interest debt is even worse than it looks, and it is why killing it is the best investment you will ever make. Go back to Jake and his 21.5% credit card. When Jake pays that off, he isn't just avoiding a bill, he is earning a guaranteed, tax-free 21.5% return. Compare that to any other investment. The stock market is 10%, and it is risky and taxed. A savings account is 4%. There is no legal investment for a normal person that pays 21.5% tax-free with zero risk. Yet, that investment was sitting in Jake's mailbox the whole time. It was just disguised as a bill. Paying off that card beats the stock market by 11 points every single year. It is the highest returning, lowest risk investment most people will ever see. This is where the old good debt versus bad debt idea falls apart. That old rule would tell Jake to pay off his card eventually, but it would never tell him that paying it down is the single best investment of his life. This is also the secret of how the very rich get richer. You have probably heard that wealthy people use debt to build wealth. You might think there is some secret trick you aren't allowed to know. There are people out there selling expensive courses about this. But the real version is just the rule we are talking about today. It is just run on a much bigger scale. It has a name: buy, borrow, die. The idea is simple. Wealthy people buy assets that grow in value, like stocks or real estate. They hold on to them so they never have to pay taxes on the gains. When they need cash, they don't sell the asset. If they sold, they would owe taxes. Instead, they borrow money against the asset at a very low interest rate. They let the asset keep growing. They are borrowing cheap and earning more. They are staying on the left side of our line. They use debt on purpose because the math is in their favor. This strategy is so powerful that lawmakers are constantly trying to stop it. Even billionaires sometimes deny they use it because it is such a massive advantage. But the mechanism isn't magic. It is the same thing Brian did with his mortgage. Let's look at how this works for a normal person. Imagine you need $50,000 and you have it sitting in your investments. The obvious move is to sell your stocks. But selling triggers a tax bill. If $30,000 of that is profit, you might owe the government $4,500. Plus, you lose all the future growth on those stocks. Now, look at the other move. You borrow the $50,000 against your portfolio at 7%. You leave your investments alone to keep growing at 10%. You pay 7, but you earn 10. You keep that 3% difference. That is about $1,500 in your pocket in the first year, and you don't owe the government a dime in taxes yet. That is the exact same rule and the exact same line. Now, I am not saying this is free or without risk. Borrowing against investments is advanced. If the market crashes, you could be forced to sell at the worst time. But I am telling you this because it proves the point. The rich aren't playing a different game. They just have more zeros at the end of their numbers. Debt and wealth are not opposites. They are two ends of the same lever. Point it below the line, borrow cheap and earn more, and debt builds wealth. Point it above the line, borrow expensive and earn nothing, and that same lever will crush you. The rich didn't get a different tool, they just learned which way to point it. So, what is the next step for you? You need to point your lever the right way. I want you to pull up every single debt you have right now. Write down the interest rate for every single one. Then, lay them against the line. A credit card at 21%? That is way above the line. That is your highest return payoff. Attack it first. A payday loan or a buy now, pay later balance at 30%? That is a financial emergency. Treat it like one. A personal loan at 12%? Still above the line. Put it next in the queue. A car loan at 9%? That is also above the line, even if the gap is smaller. Now look at a student loan at 6.5%. That is in the gray zone. You can keep paying that on schedule and start investing at the same time. A fixed mortgage at 6.5%? That is also in the gray zone. Paying it down is a guaranteed 6.5% return. Investing that money is a probable 10% return. The mortgage isn't a must-kill debt. It depends on your situation. Notice what this does for your brain. It throws out those good and bad bins. It replaces them with a single, clear list. You rank them by the interest rate. You attack from the top until you drop below the line. Once you are below the line, you stop attacking debt and you start investing. There is only one exception to this rule. If your employer matches your retirement contributions, take that money first. A 50% match is a 50% instant return. That even beats a credit card. After that match, the line decides everything else. And this logic works for your savings too. If you keep your cash in a big bank account paying 0.3% interest, $50,000 earns you $190 a year. But if you move that same $50,000 to a high-yield account at 4%, you earn $2,000. That is 10 times more money for the exact same level of safety. It is the mirror image of the debt rule. The only variable is whether you bothered to check the number. Step back and look at what this is worth over a lifetime. Remember Brian and Jake. They earned the same amount of money, but Brian invested from the start because he understood the line. Jake spent 6 years just trying to get back to zero. That head start, just being on the right side of the line, is worth $174,000 over 30 years. That isn't from working harder. That isn't from a promotion. It is just from pointing the lever the right way sooner. Debt is not a monster. It is not a savior. It is just a rate compared to an alternative. You can run this comparison on every loan you own in the time it takes to read a statement. The people who use debt to get rich aren't keeping a secret. They just checked a number. And now, you know exactly which number to check. You know which way it points. This is how you take control. This is how you build a legacy. Thank you for watching Siraz Patwari. If this changed the way you look at your loans, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you can do the math with me on the next one. You have the tools now. Go point your lever toward wealth. See you in the next video.